Have you ever crammed for an exam? And if you did, how well did you do on that exam? If you're like me, you certainly have crammed, and I suspect you did pretty well. But here's the kicker. How much of that information did you retain just 1, 2, or even 12 months later? I suspect you lost most of it. In this episode, I'm going to dive into the second of what I call the big 4 influences, strategies, or actions that are proven to have a positive impact on student learning outcomes. And it's simply called spaced practice or learning. In part 1 of this series, I introduced this book by John Hattie, where he explained a tool that he used to compare the influences, strategies, or actions that have been used over the years to try and improve student learning. Now, if you haven't already, go back and have a look at part 1 because you will need a working knowledge of that tool before we move forward. In short, part 1 explored the effect of integrating learning with prior knowledge and revealed that John Hattie gave it a score of 93 hundredths. As he determined that 40 hundredths was equivalent to 1 year of growth or schooling, this meant that an effect size of 93 hundredths was more than 2 years of growth for every year of school that focused on integrating learning with prior knowledge. Now that is significant. Now, most math programs in the US at least provide a massed learning approach to teaching mathematics, where students are given new concepts and ideas in a very short period of time. So they're introduced to them and they must practice them, and then they let them go as they move on to new material. Now, in that situation, they're not given more opportunities to revisit that content or even practice it until pretty much the end of year as they're preparing for that assessment, that all-important end of year assessment. Now, just like you and me, when we cram for an exam, we may do okay on that test, but essentially we can't retain it. And in a hierarchical discipline like mathematics, this is a big issue. Those students simply don't have the concepts and skills to learn new material in the coming months or even the coming years. We now know that when learning is spaced over time, students or people in general have a better chance of learning the ideas and a greater ability to retain it. In fact, the National Centre for Education and Research stated that to help students remember key facts, concepts, and knowledge, we recommend that teachers arrange for students to be exposed to key course concepts on at least 2 occasions, separated by a period of several weeks to several months. And the other reason why I personally don't like the maths teaching approach to mathematics is it requires too much repetitive practice. Now, this is an issue because in the US, where this approach is most prevalent, schools often only provide 180 days of instruction a year. That's 20 days fewer than what we provide in Australia, and up to 40 days fewer of what is provided in Singapore. So something must change. We need to spend less time simply practicing past ideas and more time teaching new ideas and the connections among them. So what does a spaced learning curriculum look like when contrasted to a mass learning curriculum? Here is a comparison of how units are introduced in 4th grade for a traditional math program using a massed approach versus a program that provides a spaced approach. Take a look at the key learning areas of fractions and multiplication and division in grade 4. In a traditional program, students will get one opportunity to learn fractions, but a spaced approach to content will give students multiple opportunities over time to revisit the same content. Similarly, a traditional program may give students 2 units of work at most to learn multiplication and division, but a spaced program will probably connect those ideas to the concept of area, which in turn gives them many opportunities to encounter the concepts throughout the year. So how does space learning score on John Hattie's barometer of influence? His research found that spacing learning has an effect size of 60 hundredths, which means that students can realise 1.5 years of learning in one school year if they are being taught mathematics using this approach. Given annual instruction time in the US is so short, I would think this is a simple change that's well worth considering. So this is what I want you to do. 1. It's time for a change. Use the links below to research and find out more about space versus maths learning to see if it's right for you and for your school. And 2, if you're not in a position to make this change, consider integrating regular review sessions of previously taught concepts into your daily lessons. This ensures that your students will deepen their understanding over time. And finally, if you've seen value in this video, then share it with a friend and give me a helpful comment. And make sure you subscribe today so you never miss a learning opportunity with me. See you next time.